I'm going to mute everybody if I can find the right button. It's been a while. Yay. Hello, Virginia. So today, I'm loving the weather. I don't know if you guys have heat wave warnings where you are, but I think for the first time ever, the UK Weather Service has actually put out a warning that it's going to be extremely hot the next few days. And I think this started already over the weekend. So today by 12 noon was already 30 degrees Celsius. And when I stepped out at about 1:30, it was 33, between 33 and 35. So it's still pretty warm. And at night, it's still mid-20s. So I hope you have lovely weather where you are and it's not raining and you don't have storms and floods and wildfires and all the other stuff that comes when it gets too hot. So I'm loving the weather, right? As you can see, I've probably been in the sun a bit longer than most of us on the call. And so I thrive in such temperatures. And this is like my default mode, right? So I'm going to start by talking about two things that I observed on one of my walks about 2 weeks ago. And it brought up something for me, and hopefully I can tie it back into our entrepreneurial spirit, our businesses, and we can get something to take away, right? So before I get into all of that, welcome everybody. Today is the 20th of July, 2021. We are, as usual, on the Lavenia Success Mastermind. And I can see some of my favorite people on here. Yay! I see Julia, I see Linda, I see Daisy, I see Suzanne, I see Ismail. Lovely to meet you, hear you, see you. I don't think I've seen your name before, but thank you so much for joining us. Virginia is on, Mark is on, Edward, as always, is on. And Emma is just dialed in. Oh, you snuck in there. And Gail's camera is on. Yay! Hello, Gail. So if you're looking for a title of what I'm going to talk about today, it's basically something out of nothing. And hopefully as I get into the stories or my observations on one of my walks, one of my recent walks, it will all make sense. So nature for me, I find that I get a lot of, it's kind of like therapeutic when I go for walks. My mind wanders and sometimes I just let it drift. I let it go wherever my thoughts take me. I just let it run free and wild. And in the midst of all that walking, my thoughts will start on one tangent, but end up somewhere totally different. And at the end of that walk, I feel like, oh my God, I have clarity on certain things, or suddenly there's a new aha moment on something that I've done for years and years and years, and I couldn't figure out why I did it that way. So for me, walking it's just a, time to gather my thoughts and just let my thoughts be. And when I come back, not only do I feel physically, more alert, fitter, and all that good stuff, but also mentally, it's almost like I've cleared the cobwebs away, if that makes sense. So on a recent walk about 2 weeks ago, two things struck me out of nature. And I started thinking about this. And as usual, I don't know if you're like me, but my thoughts kind of like go down some rabbit holes sometimes. And if you ask me how I got from A to where I ended up, I really couldn't tell you, but it all happens between my ears, right? So I started off and I'd seen this huge tree trunk. So it was almost like maybe there was a storm. I don't know what caused it. Maybe there was rot in the trunk. I don't know what, but this massive tree had fallen over, right? And not only had it fallen over, it was probably decayed. It changed color. So it wasn't like the nice dark brown, healthy, the color of a bark, right? You know when a tree is healthy and you just know, okay, there's still life going on here, right? This was all, oh my God, yucky is the only way I could describe it. It just wasn't appealing to the eyes. It wasn't something I wanted to stare at for a long time. In fact, I wanted to walk on by, right? But because I was walking and it was one of these, you know what, I'm not in a hurry to get anywhere. I'm going to walk until my legs decide they're tired. So it was one of those 30-something thousand step days. And I just started walking, right? So I looked at this tree trunk. And the first thing that occurred to me, and I don't know if you're like me, but I noticed all the things I don't like first, right? All the negatives tend to pop out. And They're probably more obvious, more evident than everything else going on. So I noticed the discoloration. I noticed there was a bit of mold on certain parts of the tree trunk. I noticed pretty much dead. I didn't think there was any sign of life. I was like, ugh, what an ugly sight, right? This is all, I'm not saying anything. I'm thinking all of this, right? So I'm staring at this bark, and this is what's like bombarding my thoughts, right? And I'm saying, what an ugly sight, right? And I'm thinking to myself, why haven't they moved this away? And then as soon as I say that, I go, but hang on a minute, why will they move it away? It's just going to decay. It's going to go back into the ground, and it's probably going to be fertilizer for the next, whatever is going to grow on that spot, right? Whether it's going to be weeds, whether it's going to be wildflowers. This is all in my head. Mind you, I'm still walking, right? And I mean, I'm walking towards this tree trunk. So it's still in my line of sight. So it's not like I've stopped to observe this. I literally am walking, but as I walk, I'm getting closer to it. So it's getting bigger and it's filling more of my vision, right? And so these are the thoughts that are like bouncing around in my head as I stare at this thing. And I'm saying to myself, what an ugly sight, right? I'd hate to have a picnic spot, you know, having to look at this while I have my sandwiches or my strawberries or whatever. I don't know if you're like me, but this is what's going on in my head. I'm supposed to be walking, right? And I'm thinking all of this nonsense just because I've seen a tree that fell over and the bark is, you know. So anyway, so it's rotten, and I go, I wonder if it has a stench to it. I'm not anywhere close to it yet, right? But it's getting bigger as I approach. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, if it stinks, I'm not sure I want to walk past that. Should I change my route? Should I walk around it? Okay, let me see what paths are around. This is all still thoughts in my head. I'm not talking to myself like a mad hatter, right? I'm just walking towards this trunk. And suddenly, the closer I get, I see fresh shoots. I see green from an obscure, I mean, I could have missed it. If I wasn't looking at this tree trunk so intently, I would have missed signs of life. Talk about something out of nothing, right? I mean, as far as I was concerned, this trunk was dead and gone, no hope for it. It wasn't coming back. It couldn't add any good. Maybe the only thing good that I could figure out in my head, to me, was, okay, it could form some kind of fertilizer or manure, or, you know, maybe vitamins for the soil, and wildflowers could grow on that spot. That was probably the only good thing I could see of this trunk, right? And as I moved closer, I suddenly saw green shoots. And I thought, wow, how amazing, right? This was me. I wanted them to come chop the thing into pieces, throw it in some fire, get rid of it, you know, so that somebody could have that as a picnic spot. Still, all of this is going on in my head. I'm not walking with anyone. I'm not recording this. I'm thinking this, right? And so I'm saying to myself, isn't it amazing how I could have written off this trunk, not knowing that not only could it be good stuff for the soil in its environment, but also there were new forms of life. So if I, from way back where, like maybe 10 yards back, if I had said, let's chop that into pieces and throw it into fire, those new shoots would have died. They wouldn't have had a chance to thrive. They couldn't become all they could have been, right? Because who knows? Those green shoots might be the start of another tree that's going to replace this one that's fallen over. Could end up being the most beautiful wildflowers we have ever seen on that spot. I don't know what these green shoots were meant to be, but they were definitely a sign of life, right? It was almost like the cycle of life was continuing and there was something coming out of nothing. So I had seen rot, I had seen damp, I had seen discoloration, I had seen death, I had seen, oh my God, there's no hope for you, you're a goner, you should just be chopped up and thrown into the fire. And this was bringing forth life out of some corner, and I could have missed it, right? So this was the first thing. So as I walked past the trunk, I thought to myself, Ivié, note to self, never write anything off. It's never over until it's over. Because you just never know when signs of life, signs of, I mean, something to admire, something to behold, something that will beautify, something that will enrich. I mean, I was, so now you can imagine where I've gone now. I'm passing the trunk now. I've seen signs of life, and suddenly in my head, still thoughts, I'm thinking something's out of nothing. But I'm saying something to admire, something to share. And here I am sharing that observation with everybody else today. Who would have thought that a dead tree trunk could hold so much learning for me, right? So if you're like me, just think of what your somethings could be. Come up with something. I've said something to share, something to admire, something that beautifies, something to appreciate. What somethings can you come up with? Because I'm going somewhere with this, right? So that was my first observation on this walk. I thought to myself, how amazing. I had discounted this tree trunk and I had said there was no hope for it. Nothing good could ever come out of this. I had given up on the tree trunk, right? Meanwhile, this tree trunk was talking back to me and saying, you know what? There's hope for me yet. I'm not quite dead. I can still bring something out of supposedly nothing, right? I still have something. And if I dig down deep enough, I can bring something that will catch your attention and stop you in your tracks. Now, if I want to bring that back home to this group, how many of us have written ourselves off or said to ourselves, that's it, I give up, there's nothing good going to come out of this, I'm not worth it, I haven't got anything else to give, I've given my all, I'm done and dusted, I'm counting myself out of the race, that's it, I'm out, right? How many of us have done that? So in the chat, write something positive about something out of nothing scenario. So like the examples I gave, something to appreciate, something, you come up with your own somethings, right? Something that resonates with you. So those were my somethings on that walk, right? So that was the first observation. And I was still toying with this idea and I was saying to myself, oh my God, it's the second half of the year. And, 2021 is not over yet. I'm not going to write myself out of the year. I'm not going to give up on me, right? I may not be doing maybe as much as I thought I could. Some parts of me may be nothing right now, but I still believe something can come out of it. I mean, so this was me now talking to myself, having seen that tree trunk, saying to myself, if that tree trunk still has something to give, surely I still have something to give. And I thought that tree trunk was dead, but I'm still alive. I mean, like Mark, you always say, gosh, we're on this side of the permafrost, right? So we still got, some kind of purpose, some kind of mission, right? And so I thought of you, Mark, on that walk. And I thought, this is something Mark will say, that as long as we're still on this side, we've still got something to give, right? So what is your something? So I thought of you, Mark, and I said, yeah, I still got something to give. I still got some kind of purpose. I've still got some kind of objective, right? So this is me still thinking something out of nothing, right? And as I was walking, I was still mulling over this and I was saying, wow, how profound. From nature, wasn't expecting it. My thoughts were running wild. And what do you know? I come across a shrub. Now, this shrub may have been maybe end of May, early June, probably bloomed and had, oh my God, vibrant colors, because I could still see like bits of yellow and I could see some really fresh green leaves. But a big chunk of it had not just gone brown, but they were like a orangey rust kind of color. And then there was brown and then there was black. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this was once something of beauty, right? But now it's dying, right? But then I said, as the seasons change, this is what happens. But this plant, a bit of rain next year, the next cycle, it's going to be bright yellow and green again, right? So once again, this was me looking at this plant and I was saying, you know what? I'm not going to count you out this time. Rather, I'm going to start by looking at what it is, the positives I can see in this shrub. So what was the first thing I thought? I thought, my three best colors, like my favorite colors of all time, are burnt orange, brown, and cream. And I thought to myself, I wonder why I like burnt orange, brown, and cream. And I looked at this shrub and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, who would have thought that burnt orange and brown go together? But I could see those exact shades in the dying parts of this plant, right? And I was saying, oh, I just thought I thought up those colors, right? And I was like, oh, those are my wedding colors and that's what I want. Because when I got married, those were my three colors, right? And I just thought I put them together and I thought, that was my creativity. I was like, you know what? It already existed in nature. So I was saying to myself, this was me feeling really cool with myself that I'd come up with this color combination. But here it was staring me in the face in nature, right? So I was saying, nature, oh my God, has so much to teach us, right? And I was thinking to myself, this plant, even though it's in its dying phase, is still beautiful. It's still displaying other dimensions of its of its take on life, right? There are many sides to the shrub. It's not just the green and the yellow, right? Even in the, I'm going out of the cycle of life to come back again next season, it's still a thing of beauty. I chose to look at that process and the dying parts of it as beautiful because I could see the leaves had gone not quite green, not quite brown. They were an in between. And then the flowers were now the burnt orange and it just looked beautiful. And I thought to myself, oh my God, even in its so-called withering, wilting, dying process, it was still giving me something to behold. And I actually stopped at this shrub and I looked at it for a long time. And I thought to myself, yes, the bright green and yellow, beautiful. But the dying parts of it held more value for me because it took me back. It gave me a memory, right? And it kind of like told me, you know what? You're not the one that's creative. Nature already had this. You just happen to have a brainwave and those, colors worked and hey presto. But you know what? It existed in nature already. And that was humbling for me. That where I'd given myself a pat on the back for mixing colors and coming up with a good color combo, nature was like, we're doing it au naturel. Thank you very much. We don't even have to try, right? It's just part of our phase. It's just one of the processes we go through. And I thought to myself, wow, right? And so I don't know where each one of us is at today. If you're at that process where you kind of like think, you know what, I'm ending the cycle of my life or the cycle of this particular journey, or it's the final chapters of this particular phase, right, of life. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I'm not quite sure I have nothing, anything to give. I'm not quite sure I have anything of value. You're questioning, your purpose, your objectives. You're questioning your very existence. Maybe some of us are, and you're beginning to doubt that you still have something to offer, or that you can still produce something of beauty or of lasting value, right? And you're thinking this, and you're saying, "Wow," right? I want to say to everybody on this call, it doesn't matter what phase of life you're in. Whether on one project, you're the final chapters, you're about to start something new, there is beauty in every part of the journey. If we will just stop and observe, we will find positives at every given point that we are at, right? So bringing it back to business, right? And back to our lives and, our journeys. We're all entrepreneurs on this call. I don't know where you are with your businesses. If you've launched a product yet, if you've sourced a supplier, if you've got the funds to do the shipping, if COVID has delayed stuff, if your stuff was maybe caught, excuse me, on the Suez Canal, and therefore there was like a delay in getting your stuff up and running on Amazon. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what your unique circumstances are, but I want to say that wherever you find yourself in the journey, there is something to behold. There is something of beauty. There is something of value. There is something you have to offer, right? There is something that you are adding to this life. There's something of value that you bring to the conversation, right? You're not down and out. You are not counted out of the game. You are still very relevant, right? It's just, there's so much more that ahead of you. There's so much more that you can contribute, right? And give to not just this platform, but your environments, your immediate environments, your communities, right? People are counting on you. They're waiting for your manifestation, right? For you to actually birth that idea, for you to come into your own, for you to fulfill purpose, destiny. People are waiting for your fulfillment, right? I mean, it's not just, there's just still so much left in you. So don't think you got nothing to offer. Don't think, I can't come up with that product. Don't think, the first product failed, therefore I'm going to give up. Don't think, oh my goodness, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm in between. Don't think I'm divorced. Don't think, that job, they let go of me at that job because of COVID, therefore I haven't got what it takes. Whatever it is, right? Whatever dead or nothing moments you're encountering right now, it's not counting you out of the game. You're not over and done with. You still have something to bring out of supposedly nothing. There really isn't ever anything nothing. It's our take on it. It's our perspective that we call those things nothing. I mean, if I just go back to that tree trunk, here I was calling it nothing. But that tree trunk spoke back at me and said, no ways, you ain't gonna call me nothing. I still have something, right? And it was sprouting some green shoots. So that just that gave me, I was like, oh my God, how many of us are saying we are nothing, or we're in a nothing phase, or we're in a nothing place, and we can't see the green shoots around us, right? Those green shoots could be ideas. Those green shoots could be people next to you that are going to be your supporters. Those green shoots could be your suppliers. Those green shoots could be your current employer. Those green shoots could be somebody you meet on LinkedIn. Wherever there are green shoots, if we will just take the time to observe, right? So I don't know where you're at, but what I want to say is think of your something out of supposedly nothing, something that resonates with you, and focus on that. Don't look at the negatives like I did with that tree trunk, but rather say and choose to observe wherever you are along the journey, that there is something of value, there is something of beauty, there is something you can share, there is something you can add, there's something you can bring to the party. It doesn't matter if it's dry crackers, right? Or if it's just a bottle of water. Everybody has something. There is something that only you have that I don't have. There's something I have that you don't have. But together, when we come together and we bring all our somethings together, oh my goodness, how beautiful is it going to be? How fulfilling is it going to be? We create opportunities when we come together and bring all our somethings together, right? So that's what was coming up for me. I don't know if I've made sense, right? But I mean, I just thought to myself, how humbling that nature could just bring me right back to down to earth and just, downsize me almost and just say, you know what? You can't count us out. We've still got our place. We've still got our objectives to fulfill. We've still got value to add, right? So I don't know where you guys are at, and I don't know if any of this has made sense, but that's what was coming up for me today. And I've really been thinking about this. And so every day now, when I go for walks or runs or whatever, I've been replaying all my somethings in my head and saying to myself, there is still something. There is still something. It doesn't matter if the circumstances are trying to tell me it's nothing. I choose to believe that there is something. And that's just my take on it. I'm just going to look at everything and say, you know what, there is something. And there how many times, I mean, let's even bring it back practical. We open our fridges at home, right? And we say, oh man, I need to go to the store to do some grocery shopping because there's nothing to eat. And if you look just a bit harder, you rustle up maybe the best meal ever out of the supposedly nothings in the fridge. And you're like, how on earth did I come up with that, right? It just took some observation, some creativity, and you rustled up a meal, right? So I don't know if this is resonating with you, but this is just something that I have been thinking about for the last 2 weeks. And I've just been mulling it over. And the more I think about it, the more thoughts come up, the more, my brain goes down some other rabbit holes. And I just start smiling because I say to myself, you know what? Don't you ever count yourself out. And if I hadn't taken the time to think through these things, I wouldn't have come up with some ideas that I've come up with in the last couple of weeks as to how to tackle something or how to navigate a process or how to bypass something. I was ready to just throw in the towel and say, you know what, that's not going to work, right? But because I'm looking at everything, looking for that something, looking out for the somethings in all of those supposedly nothing moments, right? So many ideas have come up. So I just want to throw that open. I mean, I really hope I've made sense because I feel like I've rambled on, but I really hope I've made sense. And I've just, yeah. So yeah, floor's open. Let me know what you think. Hi, Stefan. I think you're mute. Yeah.
There. Every time I tapped it, it went away, and it just kept on like, come on, man.
I had the same thing when we started, so I totally understand that.
My hands are wet because I'm making a smoothie, so.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, no, I understand exactly what you mean with the being out in nature. Like, I've always been somebody who likes to be outside, like, as much as possible, and when I'm not, I quickly start getting cranky. I don't know, I've just always been that way, unless I'm like really engrossed in something. But there has been countless times over the past year, especially while everything was shut down, where just being outside in nature, you know, I could have been sad or upset about something, but there was just something about how much life was just springing forth and how every single season had something to offer. Winter tends to get me down after a while, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And this winter I got to do a lot of like really cool photos of some towns down in New Jersey. And while we were visiting for Christmas break, or I think it's Christmas break. And it just, you really do see the potential of everything there is and how little, like everybody's like, oh, you're a good gardener. I'm like, oh, really? Well, thank you. But I'm just putting it in the dirt and water. It's growing. I didn't make the roots grow. I know how to help it and everything. And like, that is a skill, but I didn't make it grow. It's going to grow or it's not. That's just how it is. And if you give it the right conditions, it'll do well. So I don't know. That's what I got out of it.
Oh, thank you so much, Stefan. And I just want to say to you, I think you're one of the few green-fingered people I know. So don't take that skill and that blessing and that gift for granted. And I'll tell you why. I'm putting both hands up and I'm confessing on this platform live, and it's being recorded. I do not have green fingers for some things. Now, if I show you some of the house plants that I bought when I moved into this flat, they've died on me, right? Mm-hmm. So clearly I haven't done something right.
Before last year.
But put me in a garden and tell me to grow tomatoes, yams, lettuce, carrots, whatever, those tend to thrive. So maybe if it's going to go into my mouth, then I don't know, maybe my fingers have some magic, but maybe if it's just plants, I don't know, I tend to kill them. So I have to go shopping for more house plants, right? So please, just that is a gift that I do not have. I wish I had that. So
I don't have house. I get flowers and let them go away, and then I get new flowers because I'll just kill the house plant.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Oh my God.
You're not. The only time I didn't is when I knew I would get in trouble if I didn't water the plants growing up. So.
But thank you so much, Stefan. Oh, wow. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this conversation? Hi, Julia.
Hi there. I have nothing profound, but we were talking in the book club about the law of polarity, about how, if you see something really bad, there's also good. I'm not explaining it the way John explained it at all, but this does fit right in with what we were talking about in the book club. And maybe Virginia or somebody else who was there can say it better than I, but I hear you, I think often about the things that have gone wrong so far in my business, the frustrations, the expenses and all of that. But I have to look at them as opportunities to learn and get better. And I guess that's the opposite side, seeing the green shoots in the dead tree for me. There have been many times on this journey that I've been so frustrated that I've wondered why I'm doing this. But I think it's a good thing, whether it's just a learning experience and I waste all my money or not. I'm not wasting all my money. I'm earning some. Anyway, there's good even in the frustrating times. And I saw an interesting TED Talk this morning where a gentleman he's a retired officer in San Francisco, and he had spent a lot of time talking people off of, trying to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he did say, it was a bit about suicide, and he was saying that one gentleman was saying he did commit suicide, but he was saying his life was like if you had Pandora's box and there was no element of hope in it, that's why, he felt like that little fairy of hope or whatever it wasn't there. But there is, for most of us, if we aren't clinically depressed, we can always find that little glimmer of hope and then follow that path instead of, being engulfed by the sorrow and the depression. That's not true, sadly, for everyone. Some people need medical help to get over their depression. But for most of us, and I think hopefully all of us on this call, but certainly most of us on this call, we can find that little bit of hope even in the bad stuff that may be thrown at us.
Thank you so much, Julia. That is profound. And that is a conversation that's happening, I think, more often now, because of the pandemic and the results of that, than we would have thought maybe 18 months, 2 years ago. A lot of people I know have struggled. And I want to put this out there, and I really believe that this is the case, that this platform, this family, is a ray of light. I mean, I want to believe that this platform, that what John has set up here, maybe for some of us has been a lifesaver, because I don't know how we would have navigated COVID, global shutdowns, not being able to see people without something like this. So I think for a lot of us, having this almost actually every day, and sometimes several times a day, to connect in this nature and receive positive, life-giving words, just mindset enriching words, I think has been a lifesaver for a lot of us. And this is why I say, we are privileged, and more people should be part of this conversation, because, I mean, look at the timing of it. This didn't happen in March. We probably started this in May, June last year, right? So it didn't start at the start of the pandemic. It was a couple of months in. We were all somewhere else. But what if, John, for whatever reason, had said he wasn't going to do this? Where would most of us in this family, where would we have been 18 months down, 12 months down the line, right? So, I mean, this is why I keep saying, as many people as we think will benefit from this, we need to give them an invitation to jump on here. Because what we talk about here, it could be the only conversation people have in a day with like-minded people that just stops them from taking that last step where they can't come back from, e.g. jumping off that ledge, right? So, I mean, I'm just so grateful that we have this. And that's why I'm saying that. I know I'm sticking my head out there, but I want to believe that this has been a lifesaver for a lot of people. And I'm just so grateful to John for agreeing to do this and to carry on doing this. Because, he could have said it's a 6-month thing or it's a 9-month thing, but here we are over a year later, and we're still, convening. So, I just love this. I mean, this has been, priceless for me. Throughout COVID. So thank you so much, Julia, for reminding us of the gift that we have through this platform. Mark, you are next, I believe. Yes.
Hey, Ivié. Great to see everybody here. I wrote a few notes on this. I noticed while you were talking about this, I was doing some side chatting here too. I saw Linda's got her nice backdrop there with the high flowing river, probably in May or June. I think she said the Tetons or something. And, so it's the snow melt. But and Sandy's got Mount Rainier in the background. I'm very familiar with that because we're both from the same area up there in the, the Puget Sound region. There's Virginia with her, her, right behind, she's got the lake, and I just kind of decided to throw up the palm trees for the heck of it today, just because I'm messing around, as you were talking about all this, and then Sharon as well. So we're all inextricably tied to nature in some way in all the things that we do. Look at Gail, she's got green plants in the background there and inside her house. So I mean, we're all, we're surrounded by this. This is what we do. And you talk about being out there and seeing the tree. That's why I threw that picture up there too. We live in an area here in Northern California on the coast that's just absolutely amazing. It's a blessing to be in a place like this and to be able to see nature. And the things that I see with maybe if there's a way to parallel some of what you've been discussing here in terms of the business side, in all, I don't know, maybe death is a strong word, but in that loss, and as things subside and they go back to the earth, we all, from dust to dust, there's life that emanates from that as well. It's the whole cycle, it, continues. And much in business too, there might be something, you're feeding your stallions as they step up, and you improve upon that. You establish new priorities, or you change what's going on in business, you adapt. And so there are things that maybe are starting to slow down and other things that are picking up. The other thing I see in here with nature and with one of the last comments you made just before I came on was this group so far with this year, I would call us enduring. We've gone through a year here, and we've been consistent. We continue to show up. We have other things that are going on in life, so it's not like we can make every single session. I'd say a vast majority of us have made almost, pretty close to all the sessions. If you look at what, 300 or 400 of those that we must be approaching at this point, plus all the other peripheral things that go on with John. I look at this area, and the Six Rivers area, and anytime I go out and I mountain bike, I love to go out and mountain bike. It's while it's great to get some exercise, it's also therapeutic because it's mountain biking. Yes, I can go on the roads and I can, be on the asphalt, but it's when you get outside of that and right in my backyard, not even a mile, I can be up in trails and riding around doing the same thing. Many of us probably live in areas where they have parks or other areas that you can kind of lose yourself. And I have found myself just stopping along the trail, for 5, 10, 15 minutes and just watching an insect, or watching nature evolve for those few precious minutes, and something that's going on, and then taking a moment to understand that. Or being out a few years back, which I plan to go to again, probably next summer, I think is what we're planning. Go back down to Las Barillas, a great place to go fishing down in the Cabo area, of Big Sur and that area down Baja California. And being out there, and those who probably, I guess, ace, or people in Arizona or New Mexico where they can see all the stars. You sit out there sometimes at night and you look up and you see the Milky Way, and you just realize how infinitely small and pitiful, I guess, in some ways, my little complaints that I have seem to be, as I start to look at the big picture. There's a great Netflix documentary on Event Horizon where they take the telescopes and they look at M87, which is, I don't know, it's like 60,000 light years away, and just go out and spend a little time in astronomy and understand the magnitude and of the distances and the size that we have and where we are in all of this and what it does for me. I'm not asking, everybody has their own methodologies, but for me, if I really start to go down that dark hole, I regress in a way, and I don't mean that negatively, but I think about why am I even complaining? I should feel blessed about everything that I have. I should feel I have gratitudes. I need to just make sure I keep my head in that same thing. That's why we do this mindset deal. You just got to stay positive. Understand that life's not a perfect, it's not the perfect formula. We have our ups and downs. Every single day, the peaks and valleys, and we just got to keep moving through it, and realize that we will move through this. It's like having in your discussions, Ivié, about business, the same thing. You have bosses that come and go. You have supervisors. You have people that come and go that have a whole different attitude about some things, and they're kind of dark, and they can compel us to, they attract us in a way. We want to go down. Stay away from that road. Stay positive. Stay in this environment. Stay with the people that in this mindset, this whole idea and all this energy, the law of attraction. Stay in this environment and I say then the little steps that are troublesome, they become smaller and they don't seem as difficult to get through, and that's what gets me through. I don't where I was a year and a half ago, even a year ago, is not where I'm at now. Even though I'm taking little steps in some areas, I'm taking big steps in others, and I'm so much better with myself and the whole environment on this stuff that I'm doing, all these channels. I just don't stress like I used to, not even close. So that's my 2 cents.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. And yeah, it's important how when we think bigger picture, we suddenly realize how small we are in the grand scheme of things, and that is also humbling. It gives you perspective. So where we magnify our little worlds and make it, the be all and end all, and there's nothing bigger than what we can see and who we are and our mere existence. That it really helps sometimes to just look a bit further out and realize that you're just a microcosm of a larger system going on, right? And that just concentrates the mind, I believe. And so thank you so much for that, Mark. It's important to have that perspective and that reminder again. Stefan, thank you. We've just seen you show us pictures of the garden and all the plants, and they're all thriving and looking really good. Can't wait till harvest. Edward, you're next, I believe.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I just want to let you know that, as they say, you ministered to me today. When you came out with the evidence of life in a dead thing, makes you really excited about where you are and where you can be. What really struck me was the analogy of the burnt orange, brown, and cream colors. And they're your favorites. But nature showed you that we've been operating with these colors, since the beginning of time. So what the real focus needs to be, as far as I see it, is alignment with what's already there, what's already evident. Because our whole existence is about finding alignment with the purpose that we've called ourselves to be and to have and to do. Like you said, people are waiting on your manifestation. And then green shoots are all around, but most of us don't see it. The shoots that are the possibilities, the shoots are the dreams, the shoots are the techniques that we need to use in order to be manifestation and manifesting. So, what I've written down more than anything else is that you got to take action consistently to form the habit of momentum. Because if you form the habit of momentum, then the brown, the orange, and all the other colors are going to come. And you're going to go through them faster. That way you won't linger on the black and the dark, okay? Because that's just a season. Like Jim Rohn talks about the seasons that we all live through, we all go through, but it's that way in business, relationships, and every other part of our existence. So I was really, really struck with that burnt orange, brown, and cream color scenario and that combination, which is very beautiful. But it also is so poignant to apply to what we're doing. And I agree with you, Mark, that this whole thing we're doing, has been a lifeline. It's been a lifeline for me. It's helped me to keep, the perspectives that I need in order to be effective in what I do. And being effective in what you do is more important than anything because it gives you self-worth, it gives you impact, it gives you, you make a difference for the people that you service and also for the people that you love. Because if you do what you need to do, then it trickles down to everything else. So once again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And, I agree with you 100%.
Yay. Thank you so much, Edward. Oh my God, alignment. How real is that? Thank you. Thank you. I took that. That just resonated with me because sometimes we try to reinvent what already exists. And if we just looked at what is, we'll find that, how many times have we said we don't have what it takes when when we take time out and we look at ourselves, we find that we already have the skills we need to actually get started, because it's our innate abilities. I mean, what do we talk about? That find something that makes your heart sing and make a business out of that, because whether or not you're paid, you'll get out of bed to do that, right? And that's where we all want to be. We all want to end up doing something we love so much that it's actually, when we get paid for it, we go, really? You want to give me money for that? I'd have done it for free anyway, right? But we keep chasing that something else and trying to reinvent that something else instead of aligning with what already is. Because we each have deposits within us, right? We don't have to look outside of ourselves. What we need is within ourselves. I mean, we've read this in different iterations in all the books, right? Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh. All of these things keep coming up again and again and again, right? So thank you so much, Edward. Alignment, yes, great word, thank you. Do I say Ismail or Ishmael? You are next and you are muted, sir.
Here we are. Awesome. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. How do I say your name, please?
Ismail.
Ismail. Okay, great. Good to have you. I don't think I've met you before. Welcome.
Well, thank you. No, I'm new to the group. I'm part of John's group, and I guess in the U.S. Okay. On the other side of the pond. And I'm actually new. I've been here all of 4 weeks.
Yay! Welcome.
Thank you. But the entire story that you said, it all resonated with me. So I figured I'd share. So, like, for an entire decade, I'm a retired chef, but for an entire decade, I was running on remote control for an entire decade. I mean, I knew my job. I did it well. It was like, you ever seen the movie Remote Control, where he was just running through life and he knew what he had to do? That was me. I knew I could function. Oh yeah, sure, I'm okay. Yeah, but I was doing it. I was dealing with like self-doubt, self-loathing, self-everything. And I was just doing it. So one day I was like, no, I'm done with this. So I took my demons, I put them in a safe. I locked up the safe. I cased it in cement and I threw it in Mariana's trench. I was done with it. Now I basically moved forward. I got out of my own way. I found Rachel. Then after Rachel, I found John. Then after John, I found you guys. Then, like I told him a couple of days ago, I found the family. You're never getting rid of me, ever. So here I am. You know, figure I'd share. I mean, you guys are my family, you know, so I love you to death. And I haven't met you really, like, this is like my first or second time, like, coming over to this side. But I mean, I love it over here. You're going to see a lot more of me.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be like, I'm going to be the family member that you can't get rid of, okay?
We love the sound of that.
There's my 2 cents. I figure that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Ismail.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was wonderful. Well, you're going to find that lots of siblings on this platform are exactly like you. So you're in good company.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you so much. Julia, you're next.
Well, I just have, well, first off, I'm glad to have you here with us, Ismail. We're thrilled every time somebody new comes on board. Edward is relatively new and you'd never know it because he's been here in so many meetings that he feels like he's been around forever. Also Edward in Bradford, UK. I don't want to confuse. Hi, Edward in Bradford, UK. He's also a family member. I just wanted to put a little tiny spin of perspective on, we were talking about the enormity of space, the enormity of some of these trees. This morning, Joe and I were talking with one of our Airbnb guests who is a plasma physicist. And we were learning a little bit about, a very little bit about that. But one of the things that he told us just was so remarkable and put this in perspective. We are huge. Some of the particles that fly through space can go through us and the earth without touching anything. without touching another electron, an atom, anything. So compared to those particles, we're giants. So feel like a giant today. You know, it's all relative, right? The massive trees that are giants to us are nothing compared to a star or our planet, but we're giants compared to some of those little tiny particles that I can't remember the name of. So much for my science lesson this morning.
No, but it's good. I think we got the point. Thanks, Julia. That, you know, and this is what it's all about. You know, just when we think, you know, that there's nothing to behold, it's you know, woe is me kind of thing, or I haven't got anything. It's all about perspective, right? So if we look at it one way, we can, you know, just be humbled and realize that we're just a small part of a bigger system. But also the reverse is true, like you've just said. So whichever day you're having, whichever moment you're in, whatever perspective resonates with you, just make sure you pick one, but let it be the one that makes your heart sing again. Let it be the one that brightens up your day. Let it be the one that causes you to take the next step and not count yourself out of the game, right? So that's what we're saying on the platform, and that's what we'll always say, right? That, you know, whatever it is, you want to be a giant, you know, you want to be, you know, right perspective that you're not, you know, the biggest thing and the most important thing in the whole universe, whatever perspective, but choose one and make sure it's the one that causes forward movement, right? So thank you so much, Julia. That's amazing. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? Or I'm happy to give you 9 minutes back. There's nothing else on the, yeah?
The only thing I posted this. I don't know if everybody else has seen it, but there's a YouTube video called The Cosmic Eye. If you haven't ever seen it, it's really a pretty amazing video, just a few minutes. And it kind of starts off with this girl that's laying on this grassy, you know, area, and it goes out into space, way, way, way out, and it goes way back into, you know, inside the body, into the smallest unit of measure. And it's really a rather interesting perspective on relative size, just what Julia was talking about and where we're at. So I thought that might be an interesting little video for everybody to watch today, if they get a chance.
All right, fantastic. So we get a science lesson too. Yay, awesome. Ingrid, you got your hand up.
I do. I was late. I'm sorry. I just general observation. So I'm usually driving, and again, I was driving today. And so when I was pulled over, stopped for a minute, I just looked at everyone on their camera thingies, and I just want to say that everyone, so we're a year later, right? Everyone looks so awesome. Like everyone looks more relaxed. Everyone looks just more of themselves. And it's really incredible to see. Like we're all, I can't see our whole bodies, of course, but everyone looks, I feel like everyone's more grounded and more evolved. And that's it. And you can't even see me because I can't.
Oh, she dropped off, or you can't hear her. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming in and out. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why I'm not putting on my video, because then I'll be out completely. But I look better too. I'm just here to tell you, everyone, we all just look like better versions to me. And I think that's really great. And I think it's a lot thanks to this group.
Oh, thank you so much, Ingrid. Well, I cannot think of a better note to end today's call than that. We all look awesome and we are better versions of ourselves. Thank you so much, Ingrid. That was amazing. There's nothing else on the calendar tonight, so there's no metaphors for success. So I guess we will see everybody on the general session tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Ivié.
You're welcome.